I'm Alex Perry, host of the Practically Speaking podcast, where I demystify and simplify public speaking so you can say what you really want to say. I created this podcast because I want to talk to you about the issues and ideas that you have about public speaking and not just yammer at you about what I think is important about public speaking. And today I'm excited because I'm answering a question that came from one of my hashtag front row fans, KJ, and it's one that so many people ask, which is, why would anyone care about what I have to say? Oh man, we're going to talk about this today. What I love about this question is that it's so applicable to many of the speaking scenarios that we face in our daily lives. So typically you might just hear about this when someone is talking about why they should get up on a stage, but this question is something that impacts us in our daily work as well. So it's not just the why would anyone care about what I have to say when I get on stage and speak, but it also applies to situations like why would anyone care what I have to say in a meeting at work? Or why would anyone care what I have to say when I'm a board member for an organization? This question also translates to, why would my boss care about my idea? Or why would my boss care to give me a raise? Those are just a few of the examples that come to my mind when somebody asks, why would anyone care about what I have to say? Here's what really gets me about this question is that it's the question that stops so many people from ever starting to speak or from speaking up at all. It stops them from sharing their ideas. It stops them from asking for what they want and what they need every single day. And I can't help but think what a great loss that is. It's a loss for audiences that need to hear the stories and experiences that only you have that will give them the motivation and the inspiration to do what they want to do or need to do. It's a loss to executive leaders who need to hear your dissenting opinion, because if they don't, the business will suffer. It's a loss to your boss who needs to listen to the idea you have because it's going to save the company money or make the company lots of money. It's a loss to your manager who needs to hear that you need a raise because you haven't had one in 4 years and you're contemplating quitting. And it's even a loss to your friends who hear your advice and, let me rephrase that. It's a loss to your friends who need to hear your advice because they've got blind spots. Everybody's got blind spots. And they need your gentle words to help them see what they can't see for themselves. I could go on and on, but I hope that you're following me here. This question of why would anyone care what I have to say is so important. And here's what happens. When someone asks, why would anyone care what I have to say? The responses that we give most often as coaches or as leaders, as coworkers and our friends are usually lists of all the reasons why we think what you have to say is important. I mean, think about it. It's really easy for me as a coach to see why KJ should speak. It's easy for me as a coach to list all the reasons why someone might want to listen to her stories. It's really easy for me to think about why people would care about her opinion or her ideas. And that's not necessarily a bad thing to do, to point out the reasons. It would make KJ feel good, for sure, at the moment. And it might give her a little bit of the motivation. Let me rephrase that. It might give her the motivation to try to speak up a little more. But in the long run, me doing that as a coach, as a leader, is not going to help KJ. It's just not going to help her in the long run. Her motivation to speak will be short-lived because it comes from me and not from KJ herself. So there's a better way to deal with this question of why would anyone care what I have to say? And that is to address the real question that KJ is asking, the question behind the question, which is, why do I really care about what I have to say? Because if KJ doesn't care, why would anybody else? You see, this is the way it works. My opinion or anyone else's opinion about why KJ should speak isn't anywhere near as important as why KJ thinks she should speak. Only KJ can answer why it's important to share her story. Only KJ can explain why her dissenting opinion matters. Only KJ can justify why she deserves the raise. Only KJ can speak up at the meeting and tell the team what they need to hear. Only KJ can answer the question why anyone would care about what she has to say. Everything else that comes from a coach or a leader or a mentor is only going to be seen through our eyes. And it has to come from KJ if it's going to be meaningful and long-lasting. Let me say it another way. When we try to tell people their why for doing something, their why behind the work that they want to do, that why is deeply personal to them. So when it comes to the why of speaking, that is unique to you. And honestly, no matter how hard I might try, if I try to persuade you of something different than what you truly believe is your why, even in the best possible way, even if I'm just doing it to make you feel better as a person, if I try to tell you your why, you're going to disagree with me because it's not going to be quite right. I mean, unless you're a narcissist and you just want lots and lots of feedback and you can't live without other people just thinking you're amazing and you think that you're amazing and you never stop and question yourself. If you're that type of person, this doesn't apply to you. But for most people, it's in your DNA to disagree with what I'm telling you because you believe your own data. So if you don't think that anyone's going to care about what you have to say, then no matter how much I try to convince you, I'm not going to get you to believe otherwise. What you believe about the value of your story, what you believe about the value of your questions, what you believe about the value of your words is what you will choose every single time. If you are telling yourself your story doesn't matter, it's not going to matter. If you're telling yourself you're not worth the raise, or your idea isn't worth the executive leader's time, which pause here for a moment. If you're sitting at the table, you're sitting there because other people want to hear what you have to say. And if you don't have anything to say, then don't be at the table. Oh my goodness. If you are questioning the value of what you have to say, it doesn't matter how many people tell you how great they think you are. You have got to determine, you've got to figure it out for yourself what the value is. You've got to figure out why you care first, and then you might be able to get someone to listen. We don't argue with our own data. If our data says, if what we're telling ourselves is, no one wants to hear what I have to say, no other person, not me, not your mom, not your husband, not your boss, not your coworkers, not your friends, no other person is going to be able to change that. No one. And if they tell you that they can, they're a liar. Liar, liar, pants on fire. There, I said it. We don't argue with our own data. If we are telling ourselves that no one wants to hear what I have to say, then we're going to prove ourselves right every single time. So if you are like KJ, if you ask yourself the question, why would anyone care what I have to say? I am telling you today that you are the only person who can answer the question, why would anyone care what I have to say? Because the truth, hard as this might be to hear, is that if you don't believe in what you're saying, why it's important, no one else will. No one's going to care more about your story than you. No one's going to care about your idea more than you. No one is going to care if you've got the best business idea if you're not willing to speak up and share it. No one's going to care that you could have saved the company millions if you didn't speak up to share that information when you knew it. No one is going to care if you're going on 4 years without a raise when you deserved one 2 years ago. They're not going to care until you care and you start speaking for yourself. I'm going to say it again. The truth is, the only person who can answer the question, why would anyone care about what I have to say, is you. You can answer this question better than anyone else. Better than me, better than your boss, better than your friends. And you want to know the kicker of it? You already know the answer to this question. You know this. You know that if you gave yourself the gift of taking the time to thoughtfully respond to why would anyone care what I have to say, you already know the answer. Somewhere deep down, you know if you muster up the courage it takes to look at yourself, to look within yourself, instead of looking to someone else, that you will find the answer. I'm going to say that one more time because I really want this to sink in. Somewhere deep down, you know if you muster up the courage it takes to look within yourself instead of looking to someone else, that you can answer the question, why would anyone care about what I have to say? You will, if you take the time to answer the question, you will find all the reasons why it is you that needs to speak, why it is you that needs to share the story, why it is you that has the idea that will change everything. You know why you need the raise. You know why you have a better idea than somebody else. You know why you're going to save the company from trouble. You know why. You are the person who has the answer. Only you. That's it. Okay, that got a little intense, but I'm passionate about helping you speak. And I'm telling you that answering this question is a game changer for you. It will keep you going when times get tough, and they will, because they always do, because this is life. It's going to ignite creativity that you didn't know you had. It will help you decide whether or not you're going to stay in your job. It's going to change your relationships with other people. It's going to bring the right people in and move the wrong people out. It's going to change how you value yourself. When you know why what you have to say is important, it shows. When you answer that question for yourself, when you're not just repeating somebody else's words that they've fed you, it shows. Another way to say this is the confidence about what you have to say comes from within you. It does not come from somebody else. If you want those things, if you want to, if you want to make the decision about whether or not you stay in a job, if you want to make the decision about whether or not you share your story on a stage, if you want your life to change around speaking up for yourself, then you've got to turn your full attention to answering the question, why would anyone care what I have to say? All right, so here's my call to action for you today, and my call to action to you, KJ. I want you to block a little time out on your calendar. Give yourself an hour that's just for you. And I want you to grab a sheet of paper, like a full-size flip chart sheet of paper, and I want you to stick it to the wall. Maybe even grab 2 or 3 and stick them to the wall. And I want you to write the question at the top of the paper. I want you to write, why would anyone care what I have to say? And then I want you to start listing all the reasons why someone, whoever that someone is, would want to listen to you. You're going to have to pick the scenario that makes the most sense for you. So if you're talking about sharing your story with an audience, then I want you to list all the reasons why an audience would want to listen to you. If you're talking about why your executive leadership team should listen to your idea, then list all the reasons why they should. If you're talking about why you should get a raise, list all the reasons why you deserve that raise. I really want you to spend some time on this. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to come up with things that sound like, my story might save someone else pain, or my idea will change. My idea will change the trajectory of this project, moving it further faster. Or I've exceeded my sales goals for the last 3 years and built an entirely new product to sell. For goodness sakes, I deserve a raise. I want you to write until you cannot write anymore. And then I want you to take a break, go for a walk, get a glass of water, do whatever your thing is, get some tea. I don't know what your thing is, but you've got a thing. And I want you to take that break. And after that break, I want you to go back and write at least 5 more reasons, because I know you're not done. I know you're not. You're going to use these reasons as your momentum to get started saying what you need, saying what you want to say. You're going to put these where you can see them, and you're going to refer back to these reasons when you're struggling, because you will, or when you're feeling lost, because you'll get lost. And here's what's going to happen. If you keep at it over time, you're going to hone those reasons down to a single reason why someone else would care what you have to say. But more importantly, you're going to realize in doing this work that what you have to say matters to you. You have to believe that what you say matters, and it's got to matter to you first. Okay, that's it for today. A massive shout out to my friend KJ for boldly asking this question. That's a brave and courageous question to ask. And KJ, I'm so glad you did, because it's a question people think in the back of their mind. I call them like the oh shit questions that roll around in the back of your mind. I should probably strike the oh shh, like weird random emoji things. They're the questions that people ask in the back of their mind and are afraid to utter out loud. So I'm so grateful that you did speak up and you did ask that question out loud. I want you to realize that what you have to say matters to you. And I want you to not waste another minute not saying what you need and what you want to say. If you have public speaking or communication, if you have public speaking or communication questions you'd like to hear answered on the Practically Speaking podcast, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly via email or direct message, or leave it in the comments below. I have told you all that I speak typo, and obviously the longer I speak, the more typos come up. If you have any questions, by all means, I would love to answer them for you here on the show, so please send them my way. Thank you so much for listening. I am Alex Perry, the owner of Practically Speaking, where I coach and keynote on all things public speaking, storytelling, and communication. You can find me on LinkedIn under Alex Perry and on Instagram and Facebook at PS with Alex. You're not going to find me on Twitter because Twitter scares me. Take care, and please don't let today go by without saying what you need to say. I'll see you next week.